my leadership style. And along with the deputy chief, I mean, we have a good sense of, doing the work-life balance. But going back to your question about the misconceptions is that, we're here to ruin the day. We're here to, making a mistake, being accountable for your actions is never fun. But I always tell my staff, and I raise my kids the same way, is if you make a mistake, just raise your hand, say, I made a mistake, I screwed up, and you learn from it, you grow. You can't get mad at people if they are accountable for their actions and they have a course to read the course, they have a way to correct it so they don't make that same mistake again, and they grow and they learn as a person. They gain that wisdom, and all we're trying to do throughout life is gain wisdom. And so the misconceptions are what they are. A lot of times, when you have these misconceptions, they don't have a lot of knowledge of what we do. We're a very self-sufficient department. I talk to Dr. Stanley all the time about, the needs. I don't really ask a lot for what the wants are, because we try to use our budget, and work through what the wants of the agency are. When there's needs, and trying to accommodate those types of things. And Dr. Stanley's been a huge supporter of our agency, our department, and being under her leadership has been nothing but positive and a blessing. And I've learned a lot from her as well, because she's very passionate, she's empathetic, she loves our students, and we try to be attachment to what her missions are too. So her missions, we are right behind her and supporting her and trying to be that positive branch from the campus life and community engagement side of the house.
Oh, wow, thank you. Chief, a lot of people ask me and told me to ask this question.
Oh,
Can you please explain about parking and ticketing in detail?
yeah. So it's not the fun part about our job, but park enforcement is very important on campus. Have some type of standard. We are very gracious and very lucky that our campus has a lot of parking. Faculty staff have authorized parking areas on the campus to make sure that you get to the classes, get to their workstations on time. The students also have plenty of parking in the parking lot on campus to make sure that they're close to their residence halls so they can get to class on time as well. But in the last 4 years, working with facilities, we've come up with a pretty easy system of color coding the parking lot. So if you look at all the signs, they're all color coded. So like meters are orange, resident west and east have silver or maroon. Faculty staff has a certain color as well. I think it's yellow. And visitors are like green. So everything's color coded. It's almost like going into Disney World, right? Where like if you go to the parking lot, you get a certain theme. We have a certain color that coordinates what where you park on campus. The main thing is that we work with our students. We're very understanding that people are in a rush. They're trying to get to class. Life happens. You run late, park, then there's a lot to get to class. So it goes back to the whole educational piece. We educate our students on parking. We work with them. We're empathetic to listening to them when we allow them to appeal the ticket. We try to be empathetic and understanding to our staff and faculty of knowing that their parking spots need to be open for them. But understanding that sometimes students will park in there and we try to hold them accountable in a positive way. But it's a team effort, right? If everyone's cooperating and doing the right things, we will never have a parking citation ever written. But we're humans, we make mistakes, so we still pull parking spots. But again, it's about educating, putting good communication out there. Our parking rules and regulations are on our PrideNet page, they're on our website. I encourage, I'll be sending something out next Monday. We'll have a breakdown of all the lots where you can park for students, faculty, staff, what the accountability stat is. Now, if a student has 5 or 6 tickets, there is a progressive disciplinary action that takes place. We don't want to go there, but if people are parking in the same spot and they're the same violators, we have to progress the process. So one thing we do is first we put the park. That's again convenience, right? Your car gets booted, you can't drive it. And then they pay a citation. We explain to them, hey, listen, like we don't want to boot the car, but we're trying to teach you not to park in the spot. You keep doing it, so now we have to. This is the first step. Then if they get a boot, couple boots on their car, 3 boots, which is the fines associated with that, goes to a tow. The guy tow your car off campus. You could lose your parking privileges.
Yeah.
Who wants to lose their parking privileges, especially if you're not living on campus or there's a, it'd be more for commuter students or people living far away that need cars that have a job, practicums, internships, whatever. You need a car on campus, medical appointments. We want to make sure that they don't lose their vehicle, So we try to do that educational piece before we get down that road. But again, it's teaching accountability, it's teaching, hey, park in the right locations. People don't look at the big picture. They look at, hey, I just need to get to class and I'll figure it out later. But if you have faculty and staff trying to find parking spots like lot 4 or lot 2A, or we have visitors coming for tours and they're parking in lot 1 by the learning commons behind Weiser. When you take those spots up, you prevent potentially a student and their potential student and their parents finding a parking spot on campus, getting to admissions. You prevent a faculty and staff member getting the class on, which hinders everyone in the class. It's our staff getting to work on time or whatever, so it's like, we all have to work together as a community. So my biggest thing is communication, bring out emails, explaining the why behind these emails, understanding that if you have a long-winded email, you usually read the first 2 paragraphs or so, and say, okay, I got the idea. But trying to get the message across in a very concise, small, quick email, so like they get the picture, they know what we want, what we, our expectations. Because we're trying to help everyone have a better quality of life. Student life, work life balance is important, right? You see the next generation coming up, they value those things. And it's something that maybe the older generation, I would consider myself in the older generation now, we didn't maybe value the life balance as much as the next generation does. It is healthier to have, some type of, awareness of this, because, we're here for a short period of time. You want to make the most out of your life. You want to make sure that you're not always, working, and you want to have fun, right? Because you're only, I'm only going to be 37 once. I can't go back in time and go, can I replay my 30s and my 20s, because I probably would, right? Like, if I go back to be 25 years old again, I would be like, educate myself on a lot of things that I didn't know about, or some wisdom that I've gained through the years, right? So, so I want the students to feel empowered, to do the right things, to have a good life, work life, student life balance, along with our faculty and staff, because, any job is stressful. Going to a full-time worth of courses is stressful. So how do we work together to make sure that your experience is the best it possibly can be? Always try to be a glass half full kind of person, but also like parking. It's another way of like just being accountable. Like, where you can park. Educate yourself on where you can park, and then make sure you get into those parking spaces, so we can, help our faculty staff, we can help our students, not have to deal with parking citations, not to deal with boots, and getting the vehicle towed, because there's not a single person in our department, which might be a misconception. We don't enjoy this type of stuff. We don't enjoy booting cars. We don't enjoy towing cars. We don't enjoy being that bad news. Be like, hey, your car is right there. It's being booted because you parked in the same spot 5 times and we told you not to park there. We don't like doing that kind of stuff, because we want them to learn and grow and adapt and change for the better for the community, so we all can work together. Not go against the grain.
Yeah, Chief, this is so true, and I totally agree with you, because even though a lot of my friends they say that public safety is always looking for how they can give a ticket, but when you explain the overall picture, how one parking can affect other people's life, so you want to give the everyone life easier. So thank you for explaining. I think this is so true, and
Yeah.
this is like a big misconception that public safety is just looking to give ticket.
We rather spend our time talking and interacting with helping people, Um, parking is a part of our job description, enforcing, parking policies and rules and regulations. Um, but I don't think anyone in my agency looks forward to parking. If anything, they don't enjoy it at all. They'd rather be doing other things. They'd rather be going to community events. They'd rather be walking around having conversations, going, walking through campus, riding, doing bike patrol, driving through campus, do visibility posts, being that positive presence, so our community feels safe. They see us, they feel us around, and they know that we're here to help support them. That's what they enjoy doing. They like interacting with the community. Parking is a kind of isolated thing, going through parking lots, and you're kind of like doing your thing, and make sure that it's a process, right? It takes you away from you being a positive presence on campus, where you're just kind of in lots, just making sure that the parking citation meter works, and making sure that you get enough done. We don't have like hey, you have to write 5 tickets a day. There's no quota. We don't keep track of that kind of stuff. We find any type of violator of parking and we enforce it, but I would definitely emphasize no one in our agency enjoys parking enforcement. It's not a fun job, but it has to be done, so we do it.
Very good. Okay. Uh, Chief, I didn't know about this thing, but when you were explaining, you explained like, okay, first I will go like, how do you hire how many officers do we have, and what is the process of bringing officer in your team?
Yeah. So
That's good.
So right now we have 7 full-time officers, 2 part-time officers. We have 6 sergeants. There's a lieutenant role, which is right now vacant, and we have the deputy chief and the chief. Those are our sworn staff positions. And then we also have 7 dispatchers and a CSO, Caesar. We have an admin to the chief, which is Julie. She works with me. I think we talked to her trying to schedule an interview. And then we have Dave Frankel, who's our inventory coordinator, who's kind of like an admin for the deputy chief for operations of the house. How to become a police officer for our department is we follow the standard of post. Peace officer standards of training. In 2020, there was a police reform in Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which standardized training and qualifications for any police officer. So first, before post, we got our powers from state police retreat, which we still go through that process. But the training aspect, the academies there are so many different types of academies throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the training hours were all kind of adjusted to the area of where the training was being held, like the state. And then when 2020 happened, they said, listen, every academy needs to be standardized. It needs to be similar. Our staff is supposed to all through the same in-service training. We need to make sure that our hiring practices are all the same throughout Commonwealth. So we fall under post. We get all of our in-service training through the FTC. And we have our powers, our sole SSPL, Special State Police Officer, through the Mass State Police. So when we hire someone, we have to make sure that they're going to either be post certified, they're going through a police academy, or they already have a post certification. They go through an extensive background check that we have our own staff that are trained to do so. To put those through a background check with working in correlation with resources. But the main thing is to make sure that they're up to the post standards, and then make sure that after they get hired, they have to go through all the in-service trainings and keep their post certification, because it expires every couple of years, so you have to get recertified. So post was enacted in 2020. We've gone through a couple of years now. The process has pretty much been now standardized of what the expectations are. So our staff follows under the same guidelines as any town, city, any other campus law enforcement in Commonwealth. We follow. We meet those criteria. And the goal is always to exceed. I want our staff to be leaders and role models for others. I want us to, not do the bare minimum, to always to exceed, be better. Because this job, expects excellence out of everyone, and we're very lucky to have everyone. Um, I believe in my agency believes in that mission of not being okay with being the status of meeting expectations, but to exceed those expectations. So but that's what we do. And so as post, we go through make sure we're at the post standards, try to exceed those. And the state police, we have to go through their vetting process, make sure that the colonel of the state police signs off on every single officer that I put forth so they become a sworn staff member.
Wow, thank you for explaining all the training and things that a public safety police also need to do. Is there any difference? What is the difference? What is the major difference between Massachusetts or Springfield police versus public safety police?
Well, the job typically, the job description, what we do, enforcing policy procedures and law, constitutional law and state law, Commonwealth law, we all do that job. So like that's all again, that's all the same. Um, the needs and the wants of the city police, the Springfield Police Department and our department are different because the needs and wants of what the city wants from their police department is different from what we want, right? It's all based on your environment and what. Superintendent Akers does a phenomenal job of leading his officers, his staff, with getting out there and doing community engagement, listening to what their wants, needs, and expectations are of their community. But at the end of the day, I would say that police officers, their job is what it is, right? On the job description side of it, is to make people feel safe, feel like they belong in their community, right? So that's where we're like-minded there. But when it gets into like the climate and the wants, they might be a little different. So knowing what those are, our jurisdiction and our community members are a lot less than what the city of Springfield is. So they're more active on going to calls, if it's mental health, it's you name it, they're going to a call, they're responding and they're acting. They have more staff, so I'm very lucky to have a small group of people that I have a good sense of on what's going on in their lives. It's not, and so for me, it's like making sure we're taking care of our staff, and I have a better, I would say, easier way to know the pulse of every single officer here, knowing what's going on personal lives, what's going on professionally, and how to help them. Superintendent Akers is doing a phenomenal job with his deputy chiefs. Deputy chiefs are going out to the captains, to lieutenants, to the sergeants, to the officers, and there's fully staffed. There are almost like 500 people. It's a lot of people. So the magnitude of what he's doing is different from what we're doing. And I think that, but I think he also believes in the conservative leadership, being passionate to the community, and adjusting the style of policing. That's all a similar mindset that he and I have, and he's doing a great job of it. It's no different than like a town. You look at like Wilbraham, Longmeadow, Hamden. You look at Ludlow. Like growing up in Ludlow, I mean, their police department was built off of community engagement. I had phenomenal relationships as a young child talking to police officers. I never felt more appreciated than talking to a police officer in the town of Ludlow. And I was telling this to the chief who just retired, Chief Gladys, who just retired a few weeks ago. Like, it made a difference in why I chose this path, But their call volume is a lot. Springfield's call volume is a lot heavier than what we deal with. We understand that. Their staff is probably going more, say more calls of service and dealing with more than what our staff is. They're explaining why it might be a little more challenging than us. That's why we need to be appreciative of what kind of community that we serve, because we, a lot of times, can explain the why. We can take our time with mental health calls. We can do a lot of active listening and gather information to help make us better for our community, because we have more time. Um, I bet you if you ask Superintendent Akers or the staff, they would ask for more time. But you can't get more than 24 hours in a day. You can only do what you can do to be as efficient as you can be. And his staff's doing an outstanding job for their calls to service. It's not an easy task. I give Superintendent Akers and the staff a lot of credit for what they have to, go through and get through. But luckily for us, we have more time. So we need to use that time very valuably by asking those questions of like why, explaining the why, learning about our community, knowing who we're talking to, building those relationships. So, because a Springfield police officer might not see the same person ever. There might be a one-time deal, positive, negative. They never see that person again. Being in a smaller net community, you're going to see that person again. So you need to make that impression, and hopefully it's a positive one, so they are looking forward to seeing your face instead of being upset that you're back.
Yeah, I totally agree. Chief, a lot of people, I talk with people and people talk about your leadership. I think you are a very good leader. You are like one of the charismatic where people can see and learn from you. And I see that all in you when you are talking. And I totally agree. Like there is, I think I also used to be one of that. Like whenever we see the police officer, we try not to go, not to talk, try to avoid that pathway even. But in our school now I see why it is like that, because you have your own way of seeing and implementing the things. I think I'm very comfortable whenever I meet police officer. They say hi, I say hi to them. So I think it's not just like the way I used to see the police. It's more about my friend or the people who is there for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see that thing in our police officer. Thank you. I think that is a great culture we have here. Uh, while you were explaining, I didn't know about that our police officer go through this all the training, and we have this qualified or like very well trained police officer. One question just pops up to my mind. What is one of the most underrated resources of Springfield College public safety that a lot of people do not utilize and everyone should utilize or take advantage of?
That's the question. Um, Honestly, I would say our staff willing to go out there and be a positive presence in community engagement. I would say that we've always tried to be we always try to be progressive, be kind of ahead of the curve, because this field right now is heavily recruited, retention stuff, because you know right now a lot of different towns and cities and other campuses are hiring law enforcement, um, but so our commitment to one being here at Springfield College to get invested into our community, having getting to know people from the community engagement office with Annie Warshall, getting involved in the John Wilson Center with the HS group, getting involved with admissions with future students, getting involved with athletics when it comes to the football team, our men and women's soccer teams, field hockey, and volleyball, you name it. Like getting involved and being at the games and feeling, going back to school. I think the quality from our staff, I think that is underrated, is that our willingness to adapt and grow and learn. We're learning too, not every, I was like, I guess they're just funny. Growing up, it's like, when I get older, I'm gonna have it all figured out. We are all so learning. No one has it figured out. We go through life, you know, having questions and figuring out how to ways to settle our concerns and grow. So knowing that is okay. You're not gonna, our staff is willing to learn and grow and educate themselves to be best versions of themselves every single day. Everyone has bad days. We're human beings. So when you're having a bad day, recognizing it, I think it's self-awareness. I would say is an underrated thing of knowing, like, one, keep keeping a check on yourself, talking to, having openness to talk to others, um, and, I would say the care from our community, from our staff to our community, it really runs deep within our department. And I would say it makes me very proud to be the chief, knowing that our staff is that much invested to our community.
Chief, I think I should say this one. I think you are very humble and honest, and I like the way you talk about like we all are figuring out. We are human, we did a mistake. So you are very self-aware and like you embrace the reality. I think this is one of the very great quality inside you, and I think this is also one thing that make I think for even for personally make me relatable. Like yeah, this is the things that I inside me, and this man is also embracing. So we are in the same boat. We are
Yeah.
similar. Oh, that is so humble of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chief, you have been the alumni of Springfield College. You are working here from more than like 10, 14 years. If you need to say like to the point couple of the shifts that you have seen in public safety over the decade, what would be that?
The what time? Sorry,
The shift that you have seen in public
just the
safety over
shift.
the decade.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would say for me it would be our willingness to get outside our comfort zones, and community policing was like a very small aspect. I would say a long time ago, like 30, 40 years ago, was really something that was so this idea is relatively new. So getting outside our comfort zone, accepting those challenges. I would say um, professionalizing the department by doing the small things right, documenting what we're doing, um, you know, getting out of the cruisers, doing building checks, to community engagement events, doing a lot of educational pieces of like alcohol awareness, narcotics awareness, again, throwing ourselves at the community, and I would say the major shift, and this kind of professionalizing our ranks, getting looking through every single job description through every rank and file. I've been blessed to do every single job here. CSO, I was a dispatcher, I was a police officer, I was a sergeant, I was a lieutenant, the deputy chief, I was now the chief. So I've been fortunate to do every sworn job and mostly every unsworn job. I was an inventory coordinator and an administrative coordinator. Those are the only two jobs I didn't do. I had some input on doing those type of jobs, but knowing what every job entails, and setting them up, putting the job descriptions and talking with the personnel and figuring out how to be as effective as possible, and then adjusting. So in the last 8 years, we've adjusted the dispatching. We've and made it better. We've adjusted the needs and wants and the desires of what needs to be a police officer. The supervision side of it, being a sergeant, what does it entail? Communication, putting them in positions to lead different types of operational events, and working with them on their growth as being a leader for our community, for our department, and also for our community. And then lieutenant roles, like how to oversee a bigger picture of how to see not what's right immediately in front of you, but looking a year to 5 years, 10 years down the road of goals and visions of the agency moving forward, right? And then as deputy chief, again, looking at the really big 20,000 foot view of where we're going to be 5, 10, 20 years from now, and being the chief, having a mission, having a goal, looking at capital expenses, looking at progression, looking at training, looking at ways to, keep our staff, engaged and committed to Springfield College. It's so I would say that we have a really good outlook. We've been blessed with, I was blessed with having a lot of good past leaders um, when it comes to looking at, the chief over at West Newman at the time was Adam Woodrow, and then looking at Karen Leary, was the chief that's here until she retired. You were able to gain I was able to gain a lot of wisdom and knowledge from them, other supervisors along the way. And so putting all that into action. Um, I have a long-term plan for this college, and it'll be that plan. Hopefully, will be in place even if one day I'm not here, because eventually I have to retire too. But my biggest thing is, this job, what shifted was every position that I've worked in, I've always tried to make it better when I left it. And I move on to the next rank. And it's no different here. Being the chief, I want to make sure that I set this agency up for long-term success, whether it was with me in the seat or not. Because I care about this community, I care about the people in the agency as well a lot. It's a commitment, and so it's it really takes a lot. Takes a lot from you to be a servant leader. It's I always joke with some people on campus, even my staff, saying I'm never off duty because I feel like I'm always available if they need me, because that's what you do. If they need something from me, I'm always around. I'll do my best to get back and to them. Um, Email, phone call, whatever it is, physically present on campus when I have to be. But now with Remy being one of the handlers for our comfort dog, I'm it's only increased our public image in our community events, and he's been a big hit on campus. I'm surprised I didn't mention earlier, but I built a lot of good partnerships, before Remy, and then now he's there, and they forget me. They're like, oh, that's Remy's here, and that's his handler. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't. The chief, and but no, it's great. I mean, like even with him, it's another, he's a positive influence on our community. Everyone seems to love him. They follow him on Instagram. They enjoy seeing him walking through campus. He's there if you need him for mental health calls. He's there if you need him for community engagement events, and it brings people together. So he's great too.
Yeah, oh, thank you for bringing the Remy.
Yeah.
I think Remy is also one of the factor that bring people, community together with
Yeah.
more closer to the public safety.
Yeah.
Because I see whenever you are with Remy, everyone at least come and toss the dog and want to do something. I think that is also one of the component that bring people
Yeah.
closer to the public safety.
Yeah, he was definitely kind of bored this summer, not having the students around. We did try to take him out. My admin's phenomenal. Bethany Travis, she's a sergeant for us. She's a second handler. She does, helps out. But it's not even just them. It's like our interns help with him. They do events for him, and we try. We're actually trying to, do some fundraising for the program so we can keep it going too. Because having a dog is extra expense. So we're gonna have hopefully some fun events this fall semester, or even in the spring semester to help raise money for him to put, and all that money goes right towards this program. But yeah, he's a great asset to our agency. Our staff really like him too, because he's always so playful and happy to see everyone. And dogs, they say, live longer having a dog. Living with you. I like all animals, including cats, but they say dogs you have a longer lifespan because they're so positive.
But I have no doubt that you are going to raise a lot of money because in college everyone talk about Remy. Everyone is like very passionate. I think you can raise a lot of money on the name of Remy because students are so excited. I think I'm also one of the fan of
Yeah,
Remy. We can say.
I'll tell you, we sell a lot of hoodies and T-shirts too. We were for his birthday, and I appreciated the commitment from the community. It was great. I see we had a huge for his first birthday. We had a lot of people outside at Admin Green. It was amazing to see the camaraderie. We're gonna see it too on Friday, for moving day. The camaraderie of this college and how everyone works together is very unique. I tell every new employee that I see, and even our new students and our parents, that people can say hey, this is this is the best college. This is, they can say it about other places, but this place is very special. It's given me an opportunity. It's been over almost a third of my life being attached to Springfield College. I've never been to a community that's been more open arms and understanding and looks at how to make the student experience the best possible way, right? And that commitment is from a lot of people involved. It's yeah. You can look at the PLT, you can look at different operational side of when it comes to facilities, when it comes to IT, when it comes to even human resources to try to support the staff, the faculty, to make sure that they're given all the tools they need to be successful. It's admissions, make sure that it's a welcoming start. It's the community engagement office with Andy Warshall's team, make sure there's plenty of events being put on campus, and then the John Wilson Center has events to do on campus that keep our students engaged, and get them to go outside their comfort zones and challenge themselves, and become leaders by organizing their own events and taking on projects and give them responsibility. The Career Center with getting them professionally prepared and ready for their internships and for their next chapter of their life, and graduating, getting out to the job force. Like you look at, I can name, every single department on this campus has a part, has a mark on the students, future. Athletics with team building, with the team and putting the team first, and it's not I, it's we, and so it's like all those things are important to success. And but I would say coaches, faculty, staff, members here, like we all believe in the mission. And when you're having bad days, right, and things aren't going well, you have to step back sometimes and assess and go, you know what, like, am I being the best version of myself today? Not for me, but for others. And being a servant leader is not putting yourself first, right? And caring about others. And so, like, my biggest message to our community is, like, we're all here to make each other better. We're all here to make a positive difference. We all have a certain job that we have to do every single day, but at the end of it, it's like, are we making a difference? And if we aren't, how do we start making a difference tomorrow? Because tomorrow's a new day, new challenges, new problems will arise. How do we solve those problems efficiently? So.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Chief, as a student, I should ask this question. How has your experience with the Springfield College student been so far?
Oh, great. I mean, you do get concerns, or you do get, like parking, right? Like, being if people make mistakes, being accountable is tough, right? But again, take a step back, reassess. So, hey, I made a mistake. At the end of the world, how do I improve? How do I get better? And our staff doesn't take anything personally. We're here for the growing process. And if there's a disconnect or something like that, how do we work it out amongst ourselves? How do we get better? So for me, it's like students have been very open and honest. Um, I've done a lot of active listening, and I have a lot more to do. Communication is never perfect, so you always get better. So like I never go, yep, I got it. I know exactly what they want. No, it's about always listening and adjusting. So, but the students been great. Faculty staff have been good and great. It's just honestly, it's like being transparent. It's being honest, and trying to, always try to make a positive difference when you can. When you can make a positive situation, you can make a situation that's maybe not going well, but you can turn it around, make it positive. You should always try to do so. So it's just students are very knowledgeable. They're very passionate, um, and I like that because they have a lot of energy, and energy I feel like flows through this campus, and it gives everyone, more, desire to make a difference.
Wow, thank you for saying a lot of good thing about the student. Chief, we are almost at the end. What message or word of wisdom would you like to share with the student?
What's that one mission?
What message or word of wisdom would you like to share with the students?
Just enjoy your time in college. Um, I remember my time in college. It was a very fond memory of growing and learning as a person. It definitely has been a part of who I am today. Um, to enjoy every day you have here, make friends, they last forever. You go to, like, I still have friends from college that I still talk to on a weekly basis. So make your good connections, make good friends while you're here, and enjoy it. I can't stress enough that, like, yes, there's times that are going to be stressful. There's times where you're going to think, I can't do it. You will be able to persevere and get through it. You're building your character, you're building your dedication to your craft. You're building who you are going to be for the future for the next 20 to 30 years in the work environment setting, right? They call it the real world, right? You're in the real world now. You're challenging yourself. You're going through it. When you graduate, you're going to miss it. So enjoy every moment you have. Be safe, be responsible, and know that you have a lot of people here on this campus rooting for you to be successful. And we want to see you come back. We want to see you as an alumni. Um, there's no greater feeling as a staff member here to see the first year students that are arriving on Friday, 4 years later, graduate, and then go off and do great things on a positive reflection of Springfield College, because you know you've made a difference in their lives. Well, the 4 years you're here, the 6 years that you're here, enjoy it, because you're in the prime of your life, and you're in a safe environment where you can challenge yourself, grow, adjust, and set your standard for the future. So I would say just enjoy your time here. It's a very special place. You made a good decision by being here.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Thank you very much for coming to the podcast. It was pleasure having you. Thank you for sharing about your public safety and more about the college. It was really pleasure having you on podcast.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.